Welcome back to Squawk Box. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has endorsed Zohran Mamdani in the New York City mayoral race. In a New York Times op-ed, she said she had frank conversations with him in the past few months and had disagreements, but she characterized him as a leader who shares her commitment to the future of the city. And we've all been sitting around debating this issue, guys, this morning about her decision to do this, what it means. We're all wondering whether Eric Adams is going to step down or take himself out of the race.
Would that mean Cuomo would win or still not?
I think it would be hardly a toss-up even there. I think you'd have to get Sliwa out of the game as well before you'd even have a neck-and-neck kind of race. And so the question...
And by the way, Cuomo told us last week when he was here that if anybody wanted to be off the ballot, I think they had to do it. There was some question around it, but it was potentially by last week.
By last week. So the other thing is it's possible the name is still on the ballot.
Even if you pulled out.
That confuses the voter to begin with. I don't know what's going on here. I will say I was in shock last week. I still am in shock about this one. I don't know if you saw. He doubled down. This was about, I think, on Friday. In an interview with the New York Times,
Netanyahu?
that if Netanyahu were to come to New York, by the way, could come to New York to go speak at the UN or something else, that he would have the New York PD, the NYPD, arrest him, which would put him, by the way, in direct conflict with the federal government, which, of course, doesn't acknowledge, he said that he's a war criminal, doesn't acknowledge the international justice
unless he got rid of the police, then the social workers would be trying to arrest Netanyahu. This is Alexander Hamilton's paper, but it's still funny. That's why you have to say that. But the question is, does Hakeem now? Is everybody coming in line now that
I think this is a fall in line scenario. Isn't that what's happening?
I think it is. But there are plenty that haven't yet, like some shred of respectability they're maintaining.
Okay. This is an interesting thing. I was looking this up because I wasn't sure. I thought this was the case. The United Nations headquarters is technically located on U.S. soil in New York City, but the land is technically extraterritorial. So if he took a helicopter to the UN, the New York PD couldn't
Maybe,
come arrest
but there's
him.
really no way to get there. And what I don't understand is if you're the mayor of a city, and the whole point is to represent the people of the city, what the people of the city think about what's happening in the Middle East is sort of not not the story. The story is deal with the subways, deal with sanitation, deal with the school system and education, deal with the stuff that the city and citizens care about. And who knows, by the way, what the perspective of the New Yorkers is on Israel and Palestine. Unless you're having a vote by, referendum by the
you don't want
the folks who live here. It really tells you what his view is.
You really don't want him focusing on those other things in the city because all of his ideas about how to fix them are going to make.
No. But I think the responsibility of a mayor is those things.
Right.
I think taking international positions on what the way the universe should look like is not the role of a mayor.
No.
Historically. And it would put, by the way, New York in a direct fight, effectively, with the federal government. And is that what New Yorkers want? I don't know. Maybe they do. But I can't imagine that that's the case.
Push comes to shove. Does this young man who seems smart and very capable, he's got no experience running anything. Does he really have any business being the mayor of New York, Andrew?
Well, I think this is the fundamental question. Putting aside all of the different issues around what you think his position on Israel or Palestine is, or what you think his perspective is on...
The first thing he's ever done is run his campaign. It's doing pretty well.
Well, and the question... but the question is, could he run the city? And run it well?
Right.
And that is the fundamental question. But what surprised me about the Bibi Netanyahu comment was this is a guy who, since winning the primary, had appeared to be moving to the center, had been trying to placate, business folks and folks who didn't agree with him and said he wanted to be inclusive and this and that. And so then when he came out with that comment, which, of course, is relatively divisive, I would imagine, but maybe not. Maybe the world's all moved into a different direction. I'm not sure. But if that's the case, it just surprised me because I thought there are people who would go, I don't know.
Maybe it didn't poll well.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe it's a polling thing.
Right.
All right, before we head to a break, let's check out shares of Tesla. In a new SEC filing, CEO Elon Musk reporting the purchase of 2.57 million Tesla shares. He made that purchase on Friday at a price between $372 and $396 a share. The stock is now at $417.